Unfiltered video in just one moment.
That's my man Gerald Orb right there, folks. He could be one of the performers at the Luxe Jazz experience taking place in Cabo, November 7th through the 11th. For top-notch music, upscale destination. Got a week-long events planned at the Omnia Day Club, Los Cabos, nestled in the Sea of Cortez and the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. The Luxe Jazz experience offers the ultimate getaway for jazz aficionados. Folks, it's going to be food, alcohol, fine, like I say, golf, spa, health, wellness, all that good stuff. I'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered from there that Thursday and Friday. The second annual Luxe Jazz experience also will include mini concerts, the Spirit of Jazz Gospel Brunch, and Jazz Sunset Cruise. The confirmed guests, comedian actor Mark Curry, as I said, Gerald Albright, Alex Bunyong, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. For more information, visit LifeLuxeJazz.com, LifeLuxeJazz.com. Again, like I said, November 7th through 11th. You want to book your package now, of course. That way you can lock in the cheapest airline flights. We're going to have a great time down there. So while folks are cold in Northeast as well as the Midwest, we'll be chilling in the sun in Cabo. So LifeLuxeJazz.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. But I got to talk about this story out of Alaska, where a young swimmer, a sister, biracial, was disqualified after a race because the judge ruled that he could see her butt cheeks. Okay? Now, after lots of public outcry, the decision was reversed. Now, Brecklin Willis, she's a member of the swim team at Diamond High School in Anchorage, Alaska. She has competed in 4 events at a swim competition on Friday. She won, she swam in 4 of them, won a heat during the meet. But a race official said that her swimsuit has shifted into a position that showed too much of her backside, claiming that was a rule against that. Folks, it was a school-issued swimsuit. Many people say that she's a curvaceous person, but she's also a sister, meaning she got butt. She's biracial. Erica, this is absolutely insane. In fact, there was a female judge who actually said, we're going to have a problem with this once this gets out. This guy tried to claim that the rule existed, and they said, no, it doesn't. This is nonsense, this rule. This is crazy.
So cue Serena Williams, and then just cue also the policing of black bodies. This is not just black women. To be black is to live in a police state constantly. It does not matter where you live, where you, what type of occupation that you have. That is really the existence of being black. And so when we hear stories like this that have actually made national news, I know for myself, and people that I communicate with, this is not something that surprises us because we've actually experienced the same things growing up in school and whatnot and in our own profession. So I think that this is kind of a part of that larger conversation where we're just talking about, like, on the debate stage, which is a perfect place on the HBCU campus, that these are some of the conversations that need to be had from a constituent or just, you know, folks in the public to people who are actually running from higher office to talk about what are their, where do they stand on making sure policies that really do continue to keep us in a place where everything we do, from our hair, our wear locks, to our bodies, to the way that we communicate, is always something that's being policed.
Utterly idiotic, Greg. It's utterly idiotic.
It is, but I mean, I agree with Sister Wilson. I agree with Erica. I mean, at the end of the day, the rule does exist. It exists in the warped fantasies of white men and the white racial imaginary. as she said, remember that catsuit Serena had on almost 20 years ago now at the U.S. Open. And, remember what they tried to do her at the French Open, saying she couldn't win, so she just put on a tutu and revolutionized the tennis world in a tutu. My point is that there will never not be a fascination, number one, with the body. She's right. It's not just black people. Look at the ESPN annual body issue. This fascination with the body. But when it comes to black people, black men like LeBron James with his arm around the waist of a model on the cover of Vanity Fair, like in a replica of the King Kong 1933 version, or for that matter, coming forward to 2019, this example. What we are dealing with is this fetishization of the body, and black women have had to suffer the brunt of it, brother.
Whether it's their body or their hair. I mean, this is swimming while black. And you got wrestling while black. Remember the cat that they cut his dreads off?
Yes.
They said he couldn't compete, and they know that people of color, we love competing, we are athletic. They love to say we're scientifically engineered differently, which is complete falsity. But white privilege and white racism, they continue to be obsessed with us and our ability to achieve athletically and intellectually despite their efforts to suppress us. Our candidates win despite voter suppression and oppression. And they continue, white America continues to be obsessed with this, and we keep winning, which is why when we all grew up, we say, you gotta be twice as good in order to survive, let alone succeed. Our parents were right. We do, because white privilege and white racism continues to be obsessed with us and trying to see how much more we can overcome, and we keep winning. And good luck to that swimmer, and glad she got that resolved, and she needs to keep swimming, because they're telling her she probably got to lose weight to be a championship swimmer because she's too curvaceous. Keep your curves, young lady. Keep your curves.
Well, first of all, they ain't going nowhere.
Right.
They ain't going nowhere, and they might as well suck it up.
Folks, stunning video came out last night. Dozens of displaced residents of the Bahamas hoping to find refuge in the United States were kicked off a ferry headed to Florida on Sunday night. As we've been reporting, parts of the Bahamas were devastated as Hurricane Dorian lashed the country last week. Hundreds of residents are still missing, and authorities have said that it could take months to tally the dead. Now, the number, of course, right now stands at 43. 43, but folks, that didn't stop the crew, the United States crew, from making this announcement.
When you come into the USA, you will have problems. So please, all passengers that don't have U.S. visa, please proceed to disembark.
Now, for the longest, of course, individuals from the Bahamas did not have to have a U.S. visa. All they needed simply was their passport and a police report. Peter Vasquez, a yacht broker in Fort Lauderdale, who's been delivering aid to the Bahamas daily, said he has been bringing storm survivors back to South Florida, and they had no problems. The people were not required again to have a visa, but they did have to check in upon landing, where they were processed by custom officials, according to Vasquez. Also, Donald Trump spoke out today on this and talk about just, beyond idiotic, what he had to say. Let me pull this video up for you guys so you can hear what he actually had to say. And it goes to show you again what kind of person we're dealing with in the White House, where he literally, first of all, again, y'all, just go to the video.
It did get hit, not as hard as we anticipated. And you look at Georgia, you look at South Carolina, North Carolina. I'm going to North Carolina right now, North Carolina, to have a rally for Dan Bishop. But before I go to the rally, we're going to be stopping at one of the sites that got hit very hard by the hurricane. So we're also recovering from a hurricane, but we have to be very careful. Everybody needs totally proper documentation, because the Bahamas had some tremendous problems with people going to the Bahamas that weren't supposed to be there. I don't want to allow people that weren't supposed to be in the Bahamas to come into the United States, including some very bad people and some very bad gang members and some very, very bad drug dealers. So we are going to be very, very strong in that. Let me just explain. Large sections, believe it or not, of the Bahamas were not hit. And what we're doing is bringing the people to those sections of the Bahamas that have not been hit. We've done a lot of the USA aid. We've done a lot of work with our Coast Guard, with our FEMA people who have been phenomenal. I mean, they have been phenomenal. So we'll see what happens.
Again, talking about idiotic. Listen to him even talk. It's just crazy. Let's go to our panel. Chandra Jefferson, Democratic strategist. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for Environmental Justice, EPA. Also, Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, political analyst, leadership strategist. Now, his comments came after you had a White House official who said that we are going to allow folks from the Bahamas to come in for humanitarian reasons. What this is a person led also by Stephen Miller. It is abundantly clear they do not want black people in this country.
Let's extend it. They don't want any non-white person, whether you're Muslim, Hispanic. I mean, people are coming who want to come here for humanitarian reasons, and that's not good enough for Trump. And I take huge offense at him saying that there are people who weren't supposed to be there. Like what, you have ISIS taking refuge in the Bahamas before a major hurricane so that they can try to come into the United States? His reasoning, there's no logic to his reasoning other than that he does not want to help people who don't look like him. Absolutely.
I mean, this is someone, first of all, he's a psychopath. I really believe that he does not have the capacity for human emotion. He's also narcissistic. He does not care about anyone other than himself. And right now, the Bahamas, actually this type of response plays well for him for his base. Let's just be very clear about this. This is a political strategy here. And thirdly, I mean, he's just someone who is, I would just say, evil. Honestly, he really is. This is another example of this. I mean,
this is evil.
If you look at just the devastation there, and the fact that these people have nowhere else to go. It is not enough space in the Bahamas that was not hit.
Well, but here's
what really
here's what's so stupid when he says, well, you know, a lot of places in the Bahamas that weren't hit. Okay, that's no different than when a hurricane hits Florida or hits Louisiana. Okay, there are 49 other states not impacted, but it doesn't mean that somehow that's really no big deal. The reality is Freeport is the second largest city in the Bahamas. Grand Abaco, the third largest. And so Nassau had some flooding, wasn't hit as bad. We're talking about 900, 1,000 homes wiped out. Literally, I was talking to a friend who was from the Bahamas, and she says all throughout her Facebook page is RIP, RIP, RIP. The official death toll is 43. She said there's far more RIPs on my Facebook page than 43. And Mustafa, to listen to this idiot, again, this is his basic response to people of color. Mexico sending rapists and gang dealers, now drug dealers and gang members from the Bahamas.
It's a continuation of framing people of color as less than human. I've worked on a lot of natural disasters and man-made disasters, and people were always invited in to make sure, you know, they were processed, but people have always come in. So what this really is about a racist immigration policy that's broken and needs to be fixed. It is also about climate apartheid, where we separate and segregate individuals and put this tiering system in of who gets in. And a great example would be the storm also went up the coast and came over to Newfoundland. So imagine if the people in Newfoundland had to come to America, do you think that they would be turned away? And the other thing, too, is for people to have the forethought to actually have their passports after going through where 70,000 people are homeless right now because their homes have been destroyed, to be able to have the forethought to have that documentation and then be able to get on the boat and think you're finally going to go to a place where you can actually get a drink of water, where your children will be able to rest and not be afraid of what's happening, and then to be turned away, those 130 people who were turned away, that speaks to the inhumanity of this administration and their lack of understanding of why you need to have strong climate policies thought out. And a part of this is a part of the devastation that happens of making sure that when people are fleeing from the impacts, that the process will get them in.
But I don't even think he's paying attention to what's going on in this country. You know, what's going on in the Bahamas. I don't think he fundamentally cares.
Oh, of course not.
No, of course not.
And that speaks to the issue of you saying that this man has no empathy. For him, this is for a country inhabited by black folks. He don't care.
Absolutely.
And there is no political gain. There is nothing for him to get of actually caring other than just a basic human response. Because remember, for Donald Trump, everything is about personal and political gain.
Right, absolutely. Well, and I would just say, just to your point also about this is specifically a racialized standpoint, there are over 500,000 white, undocumented immigrants in this country right now. Yep. I have not heard one peep out of this White House about trying to round them up and get them out or put in any sort of barriers in terms of their future.
Doesn't want to. They're white.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
He wants more people from Norway.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they passed the buck. So just like with Sharpie Gate, when after he got caught up in that and said, you know, he didn't do it and all this other kind of thing, you see the same thing. So now CPB is actually saying that it was the ferryman who actually made it. So they continue to pass the buck and not make sure that they are being held accountable.
First of all, these folks lie.
Yes.
I don't take anything that they say as truthful.
True.
I assume anything that we hear from the Trump administration is a lie unless proven otherwise.
Amen.
Because you know they say innocent to proven guilty. No, for them they're guilty to proven innocent.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They lie about a whole bunch of stuff, and that's why that's what you're dealing with there. But again, Stephen Miller, Trump, all these folks, they want this to be a white country.
Yeah.
The reality is, if you look at their policies, they do not like the fact that we are moving towards a nation becoming a majority people of color country. This is what their policy is. This is what the Republican Party wants. They want this to remain, as long as possible, a white country because the demographics do not align with their politics.
Right.
That is the reality of what's going on here, and let's just not even confuse it with anything else, folks. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. So overall, this Joe Biden, 25%. Kamala Harris, 15%, Elizabeth Warren, 12%, Bernie Sanders, 10%, then Cory Booker, Beto O'Rourke, Andrew Yang, Donald Trump is at 1%, Castro, Buttigieg, Kirsten Gillibrand, de Blasio, all the rest of them people. But if you, first of all, Castro and Buttigieg still in the race below Donald Trump among black people, that should be a concern. But I do want to talk about Senator Harris at 12%, okay, excuse me, at 15%. First of all, that's only 3% ahead of Elizabeth Warren, only 5% ahead of Bernie Sanders. That, to me, I'm going to bring Mustafa in this conversation as well. This is a very, if perilous time for her campaign, because to be the person who she should be most concerned about is not Biden, it's really Elizabeth Warren. Senator Elizabeth Warren is making inroads among black women. And here's, I think, what this does. And I'm going to start with Mustafa and I'm going to come down the line here. Here's what this does. If Senator Harris is not able to garner a significant portion of that 26%, not only does it put her chance to win the nomination in jeopardy, I think it also imperils her from even being the VIP nominee.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, and you know, let's talk about the VIP second. So there is no reason why Senator Harris has not locked up the black vote, the black women's vote. You know, she has all of the sororities who, some of them know her.
Not all of them. First of all, she's an AK, so she doesn't have all of them.
That's true.
She has my
true.
sorority.
Yes. That's true. But, you know, there is some familiarity that's there. Let me say it that way. So I think that the difference is, and I've been out there, I've had a chance to talk with almost all the candidates except for Klobuchar, and that Senator Warren actually shows up. She's in lots of places. She spends time. When we were at the NAACP, the presidential primary, I actually watched her afterwards, and I've told this story before, where she said to folks, she said, I'm going to be in 46A and B, you know.
Right.
And she actually stayed there for an hour and a half. She talked to everybody. There were 100 people who were in line, and she spent the time. So for me, that's an example of how all the candidates should be actually connecting with folks.
Melanie, it's not, first of all, it's not a surprise that a Harris or Booker don't have the black vote locked up, because let's keep in mind, 2007, at this very point, Obama was down more than 20 points to Senator Hillary Clinton. Did not have the black vote locked up. Black folks were like, all right, let's see if white folks are going to vote for you. And his fortunes changed when he won Iowa.
Right.
That's what happened there, okay? So to me, I think when you look at these numbers, again, go back to the graphic, please. Other prefer not to answer is 26%. Biden's at 25%. If you are a candidate, you have lots of room to grow. But the reality is this here. If you are Senator Harris, if you are Senator Warren, if you are Senator Bernie Sanders, and you do not get a significant chunk of these black women's vote, you cannot win the nomination.
Oh, that's a fact. I mean, black women, we are the drivers. We are that.
I mean, first of all, black folks
women,
across the board,
right.
But among African Americans, if you can't get black women's vote, you ain't got a shot.
And you don't. And that's just the reality. So and that's why we say black women are still shopping. So people, every candidate, Kamala Harris, and everybody has an opportunity, but they're going to have to earn it and work hard for it, because there's some things that happen, even under President Obama's era that we didn't get. We never got the black woman Supreme Court, nomination. There are things that, and so we're going to shop. It's not just your color by any means. It's about who is going to address the issues of concern that we have. So black folks are pragmatic about our vote. God, yeah. But black women, we drive the vote because we don't just show up. We bring our significant others with us. And that's when I say secret sauce. So folks got time, do what they need to do, work hard, spend the money, respect our vote. That's the bottom line. And then I say follow black women if you want to win.
Avis, the first one was overall. Now let me go to pull up down the 1834.
Yeah, they're a little different.
Now, this is different. Go to the graphic, please. Again, other prefer not to answer, 26.9%. Bernie Sanders, 18.9%. Kamala Harris, 17.1%. Elizabeth Warren, 13.7%. Joe Biden, 10.3%. Now, among 1834, Joe Biden's at 10%. Overall is among 26%. Now, let me say this, Avis, and this is again, I've said this story numerous times. If you're 1834, you're millennial, you're Gen Z, and you think you're all of that, this doesn't mean a damn thing if you don't go vote. The reality is, and that's why I don't care what none of y'all say, and y'all can say, well, you wrong being 50. No, you wrong. The reality is here. Black people 50 and over vote.
That's true.
In significant numbers. And if you're Joe Biden, and if you're sitting here saying, I need to win the nomination, I am not going to be spending lots of time talking to some 1834-year-old people, because the numbers don't lie. The people who going to go out there in South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Illinois, I can go down the line, will be older black people. I keep trying to tell these damn millennials and these Gen Zers, if y'all want to have an impact on politics, running your mouth and tweeting and posting on Instagram ain't it. It has to be in the numbers. You got to actually vote.
Absolutely, you have to vote. But it's an unfortunate thing, because it's almost like a chicken and the egg problem, right? Because, if they're not being courted, then they're going to say, well, why should I vote for you? Like, nobody cares. And then it just continues to sort of spiral out of control. So that's a problem. Another very interesting thing to me for the millennial findings there is that Cory Booker plummets. As you can see, he goes
He's at
all the way down to
1.7%.
Exactly.
Overall, he was at 4%.
Absolutely. And so, and also interesting was that Kamala's numbers actually went up slightly among millennials as compared to black women overall, which really surprised me, given a lot of the pushback.
So among 1834, she's at 17.1%.
Yeah.
And then overall, she's at 15%.
Absolutely. Right. So that really surprised me, given all of the pushback she's been getting around her prosecutorial past. But the bottom line is, in terms of your other question around why aren't the black candidates doing a little bit better, I think another slice at this, Mel hit it brilliantly when she said about how the disappointments, quite frankly, that many of us still feel following the Obama administration about those things that didn't happen, that perhaps many of us wish had happened. And I believe that the next black candidates, and these are the first ones to sort of test that water after him, are going to have a harder they're going to have a harder time gaining the trust of black people than he did, because they will say, a lot of us say, well, you know, we voted, we hoped, we expected, we got you in office not once but twice. And though there were many things that happened, there were a lot of things that didn't. And we see other communities in some circumstances seem to be more directly addressed and more publicly addressed than ours. And so this next group of black candidates, and frankly, I believe every black candidate that comes after him is going to have to work even harder to get the black vote.
Deshandra, any of these black candidates, I don't want to hear none of that.
That's great.
You know why? Because had they actually listened to my damn show,
Well,
I'm sorry, y'all can go you can go pull the tape. I said from the 3rd year to the 8th year, I kept saying, listen up. The next black person running for president will not have the same runway as Obama did. All these people kept telling me, why you hate? I said, I'm trying to tell y'all. And even, see, this is the mistake. This is the mistake that all these people keep making, is that they mistake black folks' love and affection for the Obamas and thinking that translated also to the policy piece. While it was happening. And see, this was one of the problems here. One of the problems is that black leadership wanted to press harder. Black folks wouldn't let them.
That's true.
Because black people penalized black leadership.
Yeah, they did.
I can do a roll call.
Amen to that one.
But so then what happens is, after 8 years, then folks is like, oh my God, what the hell happened? Because it came down to also hardcore policies. And I kept making the point. And for African Americans, we focused on him being the first black president and not the 44th. And so for these candidates, now let me, so I'm gonna get your thoughts on this. So here's to me, I believe, the mistake that Senator Booker made and Senator Kamala Harris made. Okay, I want to get your thoughts on this. So here's, I think, the mistake that they made. Senator Cory Booker was thinking about the presidency the moment he won the United States Senate. If I was Senator Cory Booker, and I'm the only, even though I got a black man in the White House, and I'm the uncle, let me just go get real raw with y'all, okay? Obama wasn't doing black conventions. Let me just go ahead, just help y'all out.
Truth.
President Obama only spoke at one black convention a year. If y'all want me to do a roll call, I'll do a roll call. Okay? Senator Cory Booker should have said, all right, I'm a lock down black America. I'm going to NABJ, MBA, I'm going to the dentist folks, I'm going to the National Medical Association, I'm hitting everybody. I'm hitting black men's groups, I'm hitting black radio, I'm everywhere. Senator Kamala Harris, when she got elected, what she should have done, she should have said, I'm hitting every black women's group in the first 2 years of me being United States Senator. I'm hitting everybody. Because she's running for president the moment she won the United States Senate. It took her 9 months to do my TV One show. And I call her people out. I'm like, we the only black show. I was taking you 9 months. Why am I saying that? Because had they done that, black folks would have heard them, speaking, touched them, felt them, and they would have had them Booker several years and Harris only about 2.5 years before they decided to run for president. They're now seeing the results of not doing that, and that's, I think, what they're lagging behind. Go ahead.
They took our vote for granted just like everyone else.
Yes,
Wait, hold on, let's face no. Yes.
I think they chose, I think they thought running the Obama game plan would work a second time, when if they had listened, we said, don't use that playbook because it only works one time.
The novelty of having the first black president
you go.
has worn off.
Yes.
But I do think that they had.
And we live in the backlash.
I'm black too.
Yes.
I'm Cory Booker. I'm black too. And it's like, no, we're not going to just come for you because you look like us. You don't have a relationship with us. You're right. You haven't gone to NABJ or Urban League or anything else. We want to know who you are. We want to hear from you before you step out into the main stage.
But I would also say too, because all of that. I won't say they went to everything, but I ran into Cory Booker and both of them.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about having not just the conventions. What I'm really talking about is they did not maximize black radio. Look, I have the news segment on Tom Joyner Morning Show. I can tell you, if you want to come on Tom Joyner Morning Show as a politician, it was my segment. I can tell you on one hand how many times in the last 11 years they did Joyner. And what I'm saying is, if that was your plan, I'm sitting there going, all right, black people get the information from where? Black radio. Roland would, if I'm Senator Booker or Senator Harris, I would have been like, look, I'm coming on Tom Joyner, Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley, Erica Campbell, Baston, Hughley. Also, I'm coming on once every 3 months. See, that way you're hearing me, because even though you're a United States Senator, I ain't from New Jersey or California, so I ain't really seeing you.
Right.
That's what I mean by working and saturating. So you take the organizations and black media. Oh, now 2, 3, 4 years in, when you announce, we've heard you.
We know you.
We know you. We've touched you. We've seen you. Now you're not starting, because the reality is, in many ways, Melody, they were starting from the same position as Buttigieg, as O'Rourke, as the rest of the candidates. So now you got to really work for it versus had you put that work in when you were U.S. Senator. That to me, I just think that's playing a huge role when I see these numbers.
But see, no, I think that's taking us. I think that's taking.
Well, no, they got to put it in.
That I really think that in some ways that's taking the black vote for granted. They think it's going to be automatic. Here I am, a black candidate. I'm coming before you. I need you to support me, just like you supported Obama. They haven't put in the work because they haven't been thinking about us in that way. And now that they're stepping on the main stage, they're disappointed.
I think Santiago, again, I think when you cannot, the Obama playbook, toss it.
Yeah.
It's not going to work again. It's
and
not.
It didn't work after people tried to use that playbook after Obama won and ran for certain seats. Call out folks' names.
I will. I will. Artur Davis tried that bullshit in Alabama. Got his ass whacked. See, Melody want to be all. She's
coalition builder.
Yeah, she coalition builder. I ain't building no coalition. I'm giving it to y'all. I'm giving it to y'all raw, uncut, unfiltered. The reality is what you have. Y'all, this is the most basic thing in the world. Okay. I'm just going to use media. This ain't no different. I've been gone, so I left CNN in April 2013. We 6 years out. I still got my black base. Why? Because I cultivated my black base while I was there. I didn't leave TV One when I joined CNN. I stayed with TV One. I don't care who you are. Always lock down your base.
That's right.
Because your base is what you build on.
Always.
You don't try to build over here. You got to lock down your base.
The entire Democratic Party needs to learn that lesson. Let's just be real.
Yeah,
the entire Democratic Party.
But we need to understand what is our base, because we keep chasing these disenfranchised white voters. We keep
they're not the base.
They aren't our base. We need to let them go. Let God.
And the reason this survey is important is because, Melody, it's about numbers. And see, this is the mistake again people make. If you say Democrats will get 90% of the black vote, no, the issue is not will you get 90%. Is how many.
Right. That's right. That's a fact.
2.4% drop in 2016.
But we're not going to do that extra step.
Can you increase the...
Can you get us to overperform? Overperforming is beyond what's normal, right? And so in 2016, we showed up, but, folks can say whatever. I was on the nonpartisan side. I'm just saying, in Florida, I was there. Not enough was done. That's a fact.
Oh,
a lot of I-4 corridor was not taken care of. And who lost? Some folks lost that I-4 corridor. Those who know Florida.
There's a template for success in our communities, and people know it. If you are a great comedian, you work the circuit. and people get to know you. And then whenever you blow up, they come and support you. They'll pay the $50, $70, $100 ticket, that type of thing. Great singers, they work the circuit. Everybody knows that. Great preachers, they work the circuit. So with our community, you got to work the circuit. And if you're not willing to show up, then you're not going to get our vote. And it's just that simple.
And so, and then when you talk about, again, how you let's go back to the survey here. And let me go. So let's go back to my iPad. Let me go back to the overall number here. So you take right now, you take a Pete Buttigieg, okay, who's at 0.6%. The reality is this right here. Now, I just saw a story a moment ago where a number of ambassadors who supported Obama, they're backing Buttigieg. You have Nicole Avant, who's one of the ambassadors to the Bahamas. Earlier, he's got folks who raise the money there. But again, candidates like that, it's like, Doc, at the end of the day, you can sound great. You can get all the praise you want from mainstream media. But you're going to have, if you're a Buttigieg, you can't have an event at the Harold Washington Cultural Center in Chicago and it's packed with white folks from Hyde Park.
Yeah.
No, but now granted, if you're a Buttigieg, that's when you got to call a staff meeting and say, yo,
where are the people?
what the hell y'all doing? I can't be at the Harold Washington Cultural Center, okay, in Bronzeville, and it's lines of white folks from Hyde Park. I mean, and that's one. So Buttigieg, he hired Brandon Neal.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can tell you right now, I've talked within the first 48 hours, Brandon was connecting him with critical black folks. And so he had black folks on his staff, but it's also what black folks you have.
That's true.
Do you have black folks who are in the know? Do you have black folks who are really involved in this? And I dare say, so I'm going to merge this with a couple things. I'm going to talk about Senator Harris's criminal justice plan, but also the debate on Thursday while you all are here. To me, debate Thursday night, Texas Southern University, HBCU. Out of all candidates, she got to crush this thing on Thursday.
My God,
she lost all the numbers she had from the first debate. I mean, first of all, you're on an HBCU campus in 3rd Ward in Houston, historically black neighborhood. That's called home field advantage. Now,
For real, if they don't stack that.
but here's her problem. Elizabeth Warren finished from the University of Houston, which is 3 blocks right down the street. You literally can look down the street and go, I can see University of Houston. So Harris is going to, and it's, to me, she has to crush it Thursday.
Yes.
Because she got to regain some momentum after losing it. And so this criminal justice plan that she dropped, if you're taking a look at it, your thoughts on it, because again, we have progressive prosecutors right now. She has to deal with her record as a prosecutor when, for black women and across the board, criminal justice reform, mass incarceration is the #1 issue being talked about. And you got Trump, who's touting the First Step Act.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's making some really good moves right here because she's not talking about just on the federal level. She's also taking it all the way down to the local level. That's a part of that plan that she has. You know, she's also saying all the right things that some younger people are looking for, decriminalizing marijuana, which has just devastated our community and pulled so many young men and young women into state prisons and sometimes even federal prisons, depending on what the set of charges were. You know, folks care about the death penalty and making sure that that's no longer in place because we know it disproportionately impacts our communities as well. So I think she's making some good moves there. But she also is talking about, you know, the police and making sure the training for them and accountability in that process. So, you know, she has the opportunity to help people to understand that she is broader than some of the things that they just heard about and they saw when she was in California, you know, because it's a mixed bag in California.
Right.
But Melanie, she has to also, look, she's going to have to own up to some mistakes that were made. And I think you got to confront it.
Yeah.
I think he's got to be, because at the end of the day, look, Tulsi Gabbard nailed her in the last debate on it. Her response was not strong.
It was pitiful.
And guess what? Now that she released this criminal justice plan today, and then also she's been getting nailed for the last month of her health care plan, she'll be walking to a buzzsaw on Thursday. She better be prepared to answer directly critics of her role as a district attorney and attorney general.
Yeah. And the way I look at it, and this even goes back to even when Joe Biden was, waffling on, it's okay to say that there were unintended consequences.
Yeah. Right.
These young people understand that. When it comes to, when I was in college and we were dealing with things like crack cocaine, we had a different kind of thought about it because our folks were dying, they were killing kids.
We're in the midst of it.
Right.
But there were still unintended consequences.
Right.
And so you have to say, you know what your record is. And so when you have a president who lies just easy as he brushes his teeth every day, people want to see, I know, I will speak for me. I want you to be authentic.
Right.
I know everything I do is not perfect. So I don't need a perfect candidate. I need somebody I can trust. And if you know that you've made a misstep or impact in a way that wasn't proper, be real about that, but then say, this is what I am doing, this is what didn't work, this is what I'm planning on doing, here's my record, and be real about that, because at the end of the day, all you're going to get is that next person to you going to point it out anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So own whatever you see that did that. And I'm not speaking specifics because I don't have enough information, to be honest, about that plan. I have not had a chance to read it. But
well, first of all, she gave the plan, the preview to the New York Times, unveiling it today. But I also clear y'all versus the New York Times. Y'all should have previewed it with black media. Well, that's another story. But again, but Avis, one of the things that again jumps out, I think when you talk about one of the things I think she should do, I think she should have her own criminal justice summit, where where first of all that is your summit, you're live streaming it, you're putting it out there, people can ask questions. And I also, again, and we're going to be doing these, and I can tell y'all right now, I talked about doing these black men only town halls. The first candidate who said yes, Buttigieg.
That's right.
Yeah, he working
The
now.
second candidate who said yes, Julian Castro. Now, if you are Biden, if you're Harris, if you're Sanders, now Warren also said she was interested. I got to follow up. But to me, that's where, if I'm Senator Harris, I'm looking this thing dead in the eye.
Listen.
And I'm taking the questions and I'm talking to those people, because if you cannot convince black folks on your criminal justice reform plan, it don't matter what some little white liberal think, because you got to get your black numbers up.
Absolutely. So this is where I think she is really crippled by her staff. Yeah. She's not surrounded by the right people to give her insightful advice like what you just gave.
All I got to do is watch the show.
Here's well, they need to.
All I got to do is just
I'm just saying.
Tune in.
Whoever her main advisors are, these people are not. They're leading her wrong. Number one, I like the plan, but she waited too damn long to pull it out.
She did.
I don't understand why it took this long for it to come out when she knows from the very day that she announced it was already coordinated, these attacks, and a lot of it was misinformation, to be perfectly honest, against her, and she never ever addressed it. Number one. Number two, I don't understand why the Tulsi thing was a surprise. She should have expected that, if not from her, from somebody, because it was out in the atmosphere. And number three, I agree. I love the idea of the summit. I was saying she could do that. She could do like a Philadelphia-like Obama speech where she addresses all the issues heads on, tells her side of the story, tells where she went wrong, tells what she wants to do now. But the summit is even better. And then lastly, I would say that she does need to do something that specifically addresses black men. Specifically addresses black men, because she has a specific problem with black men. Part of it related to the criminal justice issues, but let's also be petty, okay? Part of it related to the fact that she's married to a white man. So she needs to figure out a way to connect with black men so that they see her and respect her for herself and for the candidate that she is, and not for all of this sort of vile innuendo that keeps circulating throughout social media.
Deshandra, again, when I look at these numbers, I think if it's number one for black women, criminal justice reform, mass incarceration. If you notice number one for black men. And then you're going to have Trump running around talking about his appeal to black folks, because what Trump knows he can't get black women, okay? He already knows that, okay? What he's trying to do is he's trying to get 15% total black support. And what he's trying to do is to put the black male support at 85% for Democrats, because last time it was 94 for Hillary Clinton, 94 for Hillary Clinton, and it was about 86 687 for
got
black
like
men
13%,
for
yeah.
Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Okay,
that's right.
it was a 9-point gap. Also, was a 9-point gap between black men and black women between Obama and Romney. So this gap between black men and black women for Democrats
It's exploiting it.
ain't
It's
because
real.
of Trump. It was there
was
with
already
Obama
there.
Romney. I'm just saying they might want to pay attention. Your final thought on this?
Well, no,
topic.
he is definitely going after black men, and you see that with his digital spending. He realizes that's an opportunity for him. He's written black women off. But, you know, when he asked in 16, you know, why not vote for me? What do you got to lose? Some people were looking around in the barbershops and like, yeah, what do I got to lose? You know, like, let me try something different because the Obama years didn't lift me out. You know, I'm still here. I'm still in the same place. That's one thing we have to acknowledge. You know, we cannot assume that we have a lock on the black vote. We cannot assume that he is not making overtures to black men. But going back to the criminal justice plan, it's a day late and a dollar short. I mean, Biden came out with his plan. Elizabeth Warren came out of her plan. Julian Castro, you know, forget the low numbers. He's been talking about
been on it.
and he's had some really good things to say in debate. No one just knows who he is, but he's had some really insightful things to say. This is her Achilles heel, and she's just now addressing it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. If you knew this was going to be a problem, that should have been one of the first policy things you put out of the gate. Now, of course, now you're allowed to build up. The reality is, final point here, Melody, it's a huge swath of black women who are sitting there waiting to be courted, waiting to back somebody. The race really begins after Thursday. I always said October 1, when the race began, I said all the rest of this crap, this is preseason, this is training camp, preseason ball. Regular season now starts after Thursday.
Well, you took my words, because I was going to say, you know, so the glass half full for these candidates is post Labor Day. The race is on. And folks going to have to put on the gas, show up, be everywhere, but most importantly, be authentic and address the issues. This poll gives people a snapshot in time. They see where they are. These women are These are black women who vote, right? So if you ignore it, you know, it's free opportunity, free information for you. You know, we didn't do it for you. We did it for ourselves. So we would be clear what we know we want for our vote. And so, you know, ignore it at your peril.
Yeah.
Where can people, if they want to go read the whole thing, where can they read it?
They can go to unitycampaign.org.
All right, Melanie Campbell, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, let's talk about 420 real estate here. Of course, marijuana, of course, continues to grow as a legal product all across the country. And our good friends at marijuanastock.org have already reached more than half of their funding goal for the hemp CBD investment. That's right. If you want to take advantage of this great opportunity, you need to do it right now because it won't last much longer. Now, if you don't know, I'm talking about the hemp plant, the good cousin to marijuana, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Also, if you don't know, hemp farming is now legal in the United States, creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. It's just an incredible investment opportunity, and that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Again, as hemp continues to change the economic landscape, 420 Real Estate is allowing you to chase the American dream. And the best part, you can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. That's right, $200 up to $10,000. Now, again, you must get in before the fund closes. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. You can get in the game and do it now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. Well, to show you the hypocrisy again, folks, when you talk about that, you look at what happened in Texas with Crystal Mason, of course, a sister who previously was in federal prison. She voted in the election, did not realize she could not vote, and again, book thrown at her upwards of 5 years in prison. And so she today, of course, went to court with an appeal in that particular case. And you talk about, again, an absolutely crazy story. And it's not like you have folks who are saying, okay, innocent mistake. It makes no sense to put her in jail for this long. Nah, Texas Republicans have been real quiet about that one. Joining us right now is her attorney, Kim Cole. Kim, how you doing?
I'm fine, Roland. How are you?
I'm doing great. Crystal, how are you?
How you doing? I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
All right. So what happened in court today, Kim?
So today, the Second Court of Appeals heard our oral argument for Crystal's appeal, and they will be making a ruling on that sometime within the next few months or so. There isn't a specific time limit or amount of time that they will be returning a ruling. It could take months. Some cases have actually taken years.
Right.
So we're just awaiting their ruling, but they did hear our oral argument today.
So so Crystal, exactly where are you now? Are you out of prison? Are you in a facility? Are you at home?
I'm at home.
So explain for the folks exactly what's happening with you.
I'm at home right now. I'm still on supervised release on the federal level, and I'm fighting the 5 years on the state level right now.
So you serve your federal time, they said, for violating your parole conditions, but this 5 years, that's on the state level.
Correct, yes.
And Kim, do you not have people in Texas who are saying this is ridiculous that you would try to send somebody to prison for 5 years for an innocent mistake such as voting?
Certainly, there are plenty of people here in Texas who find this Crystal's conviction absolutely ridiculous.
Any Republicans?
No.
Okay.
No. I was joined by the ACLU, and they presented the oral argument today. Of course, the ACLU has been working very hard. They joined us on Crystal's case a couple of months ago, and they've been working very hard to fight this unjust conviction.
Yeah, so it is just, again, it's crazy when you look at this particular case, when you look at the fact that they prosecuted this case. It makes no sense whatsoever. Crystal, how has this impacted your family? I know at one point we were putting the GoFundMe out because you were possibly losing your home. So, what's happening again now?
Right now, I'm still trying to put the pieces back together. Also, the GoFundMe account has been keeping us afloat. Mm-hmm. And I'm just when I went back and got back on supervised release, they implemented a form now, and it's a form that lets you know about your voting rights. It actually lays it out and let us know now that while on supervised release, we're ineligible to vote. Well, if I had that, I signed that form July the 22nd, 2019. But if that form was available August 2016, I wouldn't be going through this right now.
Well, it certainly is ridiculous that Texas is spending the amount of money going through this. Just makes no sense whatsoever. So certainly keep us up to date on what's going on, and we'll keep letting our people be aware of this case.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Roland.
Appreciate it, Crystal Mason, Kim Cole. Thanks a lot. Melody, this is stupid. This is stupid that the prosecutor there in Texas and the folks there are pursuing this case here. 5 years. That is an absolute waste of resources. Somebody who already had parole revoked, who went back into federal prison, came out. It's stupid to say, fine, we're still going to try to send you to Texas prison for 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. Don't know what's going on with Texas.
Easy, they probably moved from Mississippi.
Don't try to put that on Mississippi.
They probably moved from Mississippi.
Don't try to put that on Mississippi. This is deep in the heart of Texas.
Right there in Fort Worth, a very red county.
Yeah.
That's your party.
Well, it's your state.
I know, and I'm calling them out in my state for being foul, Michael.
What I can say about what's happening in your state is that this sounds ridiculous, especially in an era where we're talking about criminal justice reform, sentencing reform, to put people back in jail, to make the taxpayers pay for whether it was an intentional or not, essentially is a clerical-like mistake to send someone to jail for really any significant length of time, a year even, or 6 months even. It just sounds ridiculous. And so I think she's appealing, but I hope that she goes home.
This is pure trash, Michael. It's a waste of resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we all know about the First Step Act, and that's great, and it's a great start. But until you deal with sentencing reform, It doesn't matter what you do with making sure that the First Step Act is implemented.
But the First Step Act is on the federal level.
Right.
This is state.
And I'm not even suggesting this should have been even a fine crime. I think this is one of those, you stand in front of the judge and the judge says, hey, don't do this again.
Right. Especially when her parole officer testified.
Correct.
She did not know she couldn't vote.
Correct.
It's
But
crazy.
there was no intent. Without intent, you can't break a law.
Kelly is crazy. But again, we see how the GOP plays this game. Again, this is a Republican district attorney, Republican judge who she went forward in Texas, and let's throw the book at her.
What really surprises me is that she wasn't the only one who did this at that time. So when I was reading about this case, out of the 4,500 people who cast provisional ballots, about 3,990 of those 4,500 people, those ballots were rejected. But she's the only one who ended up in court.
Looks
You know,
like
it just seems like they're making an example out of her for no reason, and this is like the weakest case to make an example out of somebody.
It does. They're making an example out of her. Absolutely.
Yep, black folks.
But at what cost? And that's the problem.
I'm pretty sure that some of that 3,000 number, I'm pretty sure that a number of them were black too. But
either way, it's still wrong. Like if any of those people were being convicted.
Which is why I said that it was wrong. But whether or not, as you said, I think that they wanted to make an example out of her, and that's what they're doing. And I hope that she wins her appeal or whatever and goes home soon.
As opposed to those in North Carolina who actually participated in rampant election fraud. Gotcha. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
All right, folks, let's talk about some wild cops doing what they always do. In Louisiana, there was an open records request that was put in there, and guess what they discovered? 10 pages of emails in which Baton Rouge, Louisiana police officers use racist language, including the N-word, to describe constituents and their own colleagues. The records request was made public by the Office of New Orleans Attorney William Most and revealed 2 instances in which officers used the N-word back in 2014 and 2015. Here's a screenshot of one of the emails with the offensive language redacted. I want to start with you, Robert. We know when folks searched, they targeted several Facebook groups of police officers and discovered all sort of racist language. We know in St. Louis and Philadelphia, a number of these police departments, look, black folks have been trying to say this for years in terms of the racism that exists on these police departments. And look, we have emails, we now have Facebook postings, and it's amazing how people want to live in denial as if it doesn't even exist.
Well, I think the biggest issue is you could go through probably every single police department in this country and pull something like this. We have to understand that this discussion we've had over the last decade about police reform has to go deeper. It has to go down to the rank and file officer, not just the leadership. We need to ensure we are rooting these people. I interviewed the Ku Klux Klan recently on my radio show, and they said that they've taken off the robes, and their plan is to infiltrate law enforcement, the military, and our judicial system. And they've been doing that for the last 2 decades. That's what I'm saying. They've been doing it for the last 2 decades.
Wait, hold on. In fact, no, not the last 2 decades. We got to remember, the White Citizens Council that was in Mississippi, the other states, they were made up of, guess what? Police departments, police officers, police chiefs, politicians, judges. Black folks been dealing with these races since 1619.
I agree with you 100% on that. And I think one of the primary things we need to do, recruit more people from our community to join law enforcement, recruit more people from our community to get involved, to be on the other side of the badge and better police our communities. And then they will be able to talk and clear out these racists from areas of law enforcement.
We've seen how well that hasn't worked thus far. There are districts, policing districts across the country that do have minorities on the force and some sizable minority groups on the force. And at the end of the day, you see that outgrouping where the white officers are going to still share that language amongst their white group. And you don't see those Latino officers or those African-American officers stepping forward and saying anything either. At the end of the day, what we see in a lot of these areas is that that badge means more than actually fighting and mitigating some of these other issues. One issue that I think is extremely problematic when we're bringing these out is that we continue to fund at very high levels all of these anti-bias trainings. And at the end of the day, they are just simply not working. And we're seeing this across the country. And we, not only in those emails, but also in the interview process, when police officers are actually pulling folks over, when they're going through and booking people. We have seen so many instances, and it doesn't matter how often we publish them and talk about them in the news. There's still going to be a lot of groups who don't necessarily believe that this is happening. But we are still throwing a ton of money at implicit bias training. These people know what they're doing. This isn't implicit at all. They know exactly, and they are very conscious of what is happening out here. Yeah, and I think that there's something we can do other than just funneling money into these trainings that aren't working.
Completely agree, and with actually what Amisha said, and I've had some experience in this. So I was chairman of the board of the University of Cincinnati, and we had an officer that shot and killed an unarmed African-American man in cold blood. That was DeBose, right? And when I became chair, I was vice chair when that actually happened. But when I became chair, I talked to the president and I said, look, you're gonna have to fire the police chief, the assistant police chief. We're gonna have to change the culture. And I pushed him to do that, and we did. Because what has to happen now is we need less training and more accountability. And officers have to know if there's a culture in this whole department where someone's comfortable enough saying the N-word over email, knowing that that's discoverable. I mean, they are emboldened there. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole culture problem. So leadership needs to be held accountable because that means people were really comfortable doing that. And you can imagine what they were comfortable getting away with.
Well, and our last point here, Robert, the reality is when, of course, Chicago, when they went in and investigated, and they, of course, under a federal consent decree, you had officers who admitted, oh, yeah, we use the N-word. They admitted dropping off gang members in rival gang territories just to see what would happen. And look, I love these people who talk about, a few bad apples. But when they did that initial report, look, those Facebook postings, 381 officers around the country, and that was only a handful of police departments. People need to understand, black folks have been saying this for a long time. You must root this stuff out. And when people say, oh, no, racism no longer exists, that's just a figment of y'all imagination. Not when you got somebody with a badge and a gun who could frame somebody or put your son or daughter away for life because they are racist.
But look, Roland, the last point on that. The only time I've ever had a gun to my head in my life was on 47th Street in Chicago, and it was a Chicago police officer. So I understand the issue, and this is why I say we have to get into these police departments. The saying isn't one bad apple and everything's fine. It's one bad apple spoils the bunch. We have to root these bad apples out. If you say it's one per department, let's find that one and throw them out on the streets. And then when you see what happened in New York after the killer of Eric Garner finally got fired and the police union has basically gone on strike, they're marching against the police chief, they're marching against de Blasio. You see just how deep this level of corruption, this level of hatred, this level of racism runs in our law enforcement. And it should be our goal and the goal of every one of those 10 Democratic candidates on the stage to explain to the black community how they will root that out. That needs to be priority number one.
And to quote the great philosopher Chris Rock, look, there's some professions you can't have a bad apple in. You can't have a bad pilot. Everybody's going to die. Same with officers. There's just some professions that have a higher standard.
You're
That's
right.
all.
All right, y'all, let's talk about last night's Democrat debate. It took place at Texas Southern University in Houston. It was, of course, an unbelievable night. First of all, shout out to Dr. Austin Lane, president of TSU. Phenomenal job there. All kind of drama happened last night. Let's first play Lindsay. My girl Lindsay Davis, ABC. Man, tough question to Joe Biden. Check this out.
Vice President, I want to come to you and talk to you about inequality in schools and race. In a conversation about how to deal with segregation in schools back in 1975, you told a reporter, I don't feel responsible for the sins of my father and grandfather. I feel responsible for what the situation is today, for the sins of my own generation, and I'll be damned if I feel responsible to pay for what happened 300 years ago. You said that some 40 years ago. But as you stand here tonight, what responsibility do you think that Americans need to take to repair the legacy of slavery in our country?
Well, they have to deal with look, there is institutional segregation in this country. And from the time I got involved, I started dealing with that. Redlining, banks, making sure that we are in a position where, look, we talk about education. I propose that what we take is those very poor schools, the Title I schools, triple the amount of money we spend from $15 to $45 billion a year. Give every single teacher a raise to the equal raise of getting out the $60,000 level. Number two, make sure that we bring in to help the teachers deal with the problems that come from home. The problems that come from home, we have one school psychologist for every 1,500 kids in America today. It's crazy. The teachers are, and I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. They have every problem coming to them. We have to make sure that every single child does, in fact, have 3-, 4-, and 5-year-olds go to school, not daycare, school. We bring social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words. A kid coming from a very poor school, or a very poor background, will hear 4 million words fewer spoken by the time they get there. There's so much we. No, I'm going to go like the rest of them do, twice over.
Folks. What Joe Biden said has pissed off a whole bunch of people. Let's talk about our panel right now. Of course, joining us, we have Cleo Monago, of course, behavioral specialist. Dr. What's your name? Redbone. That's what Method Man said. That's what Method Man. That's what Method Man said. He like, the Redbone. The older sister with the red hair. The Redbone. That's what Method Man said. I'm just repeating what he said. Out of Julian Malvo, of course, President Emerita, Bennett College, and of course, see, Cleo is super black. Then we got quasi black. We got Jason, University of Maryland. Huh? Wait, no, but Cleo's super black.
As black as Cleo.
No, Cleo's super black.
Yeah, we all super black.
Nah, Cleo, different kind of black. Y'all, let's go right to. First of all, what the hell was Joe Biden talking about last night? Lindsay's question was a pointed question, talking about systemic racism. He starts talking about the record player and all of that.
Who has a record player?
And the problem there. The problem there that really jumps out is him going to, in essence, saying that black folks, that we need help raising our kids. And that's not what the question was about. And there are a lot of people who are really mad as hell with what he had to say.
He was out of order. He was out of line. I mean, this is how he is reinforcing the notion that, excuse my language, but his ass is just too old to be in the play. I mean, you talk about record players, you talk about how you raise your children, and you know what? Blaming black people is not the way to get black people to support you. Now, there are a lot of older black people who are supporting him because he was President Obama's sidekick, but talking about the way that he's talked, it was the same scolding shit, excuse my language, I guess I'm on a roll today.
That Obama
But that
did.
scolding shit, frankly, that Obama did. Yep. Wagging your finger and saying, learn how to raise your children. Well, the top problem with black children is not their parents, it's this economy.
Jason, he actually, at the outset of her question, he sort of had this smirk. And that's what started this whole deal. Right. And again, I mean, you're sitting here going, at what point, Joe Biden, are you needing to understand that this generation, that ain't going to work? Right. And you're to Julian's point. Look, Obama got jacked up by black folks on that, and he became cognizant of that, always telling black folks, stop feeding them Popeyes, stop doing this, stop doing that, as if that's what all black parents were doing.
Right. I just think Joe Biden, in every debate, he looks unprepared. He should know his own statements, even from 40 years ago. Right. If you've had that long a career, so he's had a really. And you can't
get mad if it get brought up.
Those are your words. Yeah, I mean, you can talk about how you've evolved, and which I think is a fair thing to say, but instead he just tried to put together. Yeah.
Supposed to evolve, he devolved.
Right. He tried to put together a word salad, I think, and he got caught off guard again, just like he got caught off guard by Senator Kamala Harris in the first debate. He seems to get caught off guard with questions that he should be prepared for at an HBCU. If you're going to be at Texas State University, you should be prepared.
Texas Southern.
Texas Southern, I'm sorry.
Texas State is a white university.
Right, my mistake. Texas Southern University. if you're gonna be at an HBCU, you should be prepared for questions like that are gonna reflect your record and things that you've said, and he was unprepared for that.
But I think instead of critiquing him for being unprepared, we should take a clear look at who he is. And what I mean by that is the question was about a comment that he made some time ago where he wasn't going to take responsibility for what people who enslaved people did. But what he did, which no one has talked about much, is that, again, when the question of race came up, he went back to class and started calling black people poor or implying that poor and black are synonymous. He did it again. And that's problematic. But I think it's good that we get to see the man for who he is. But interestingly enough, even though he's done these things previously that are problematic and that imply that he has a racist perspective, he's leading in the polls. And he's supposedly leading in the polls because of it's associated with the first black president. Ain't that kind of paradoxical, if you will, that the man who's connected to the first black president keeps on talking about class and poor people when he's asked about race?
One of the things,
Cleo, the thing about, if we go back and look at Joe Biden's record and also his record with President Obama, let's not forget the comment he made that apparently President Obama was willing to overlook, but not overlook Reverend Jesse Jackson, who made some other comments we won't talk about. But you can forgive the white boy, but not the brother. And remember, he talked about he was what did he say? Clean and articulate.
First black candidate we've had that's clean.
That's clean. So everybody else, Shirley Chisholm was not clean.
Right.
You know,
talking
Reverend
about
Jackson.
Obama now?
Huh?
We're talking about Obama now.
No,
we're talking about when Joe Biden said that.
In 2007, Biden was one of the candidates running against Obama and Hillary Clinton, and he made this comment about Obama being clean and clean, well-dressed and articulate.
That's what I mean.
And that ticked off a whole lot of different people. Absolutely.
And so we have to understand where he's coming from. If you're a centrist liberal, he's okay. I mean, he's okay. But understand the roots of his racism. Understand that he's from Delaware.
We prefer him over Trump.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
So we prefer racism light over pure racism.
Well, I mean, no, it's not even about pure racism. No, that person, the orange orangutan, is not only a pure racist, but he has rolled back all kind of regulation. He has done everything he can to beat down not only black people, but also poor people. I mean, I will hold my nose and vote for Biden if I had to. I mean, rather jump up and down and dance and vote for Kamala or somebody else. I mean, Buttigieg is even kind of halfway growing on me. Don't be blinking your eyes, Cleo.
Look, here's the deal. I believe that voters are making decisions based upon what they see as who can beat Trump. They're also, I think, making decisions based upon, okay, who am I comfortable with? I think looking at experience. I think, no doubt, the Obama factor, being vice president for 8 years. I think also, again, Trump is so nuts and so out there. It's so like, just give me any sense of what's normal. And no, seriously. And the reality is there are people who do believe that Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Elizabeth Warren are too far left. And so folks are making all sort of calculus. But remember, this is still the middle of September. Right. Remember, 2007, Obama was down 20-plus points to Hillary Clinton. There was a debate in October in Iowa. She was asked a question about driver's licenses for undocumented workers, gave a messed up answer. That opened the door for Obama, and that's what caused the shift for her numbers to go down, his numbers to go up. And so I've been saying all these debates, y'all been hearing me, this is all preseason. Now the regular season starts. I always said October 1st when the game changes. I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now. All right, folks, back to our Roland Unfiltered video in just one moment. That's the man Gerald Albright there, folks. He could be one of the performers at the Luxe Jazz experience taking place in Cabo, November 7th
through the 11th. Of course, top-notch music, upscale destination. Got a week-long of events planned at the Omnia Day Club, Los Cabos, nestled in the Sea of Cortez and the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. The Luxe Jazz experience offers the ultimate getaway for jazz aficionados. Folks, it's going to be food, alcohol, fine, like I say, golf, spa, health, wellness, all that good stuff. I'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered from there that Thursday and Friday. The second annual Luxe Jazz experience also will include many concerts, the Spirit of Jazz Gospel Brunch, and Jazz Sunset Cruise. The confirmed guests, comedian actor Mark Curry, as I said, Gerald Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. For more information, visit lifeluxejazz.com, LIFELUXEJAZZ.com. Again, like I said, November 7th through 11th. You want to book your package now, of course. That way you can lock in the cheapest airline flights. We're going to have a great time down there. So while folks are cold in Northeast as well as the Midwest, we'll be chilling in the sun in Cabo. So lifeluxejazz.com. Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't you want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey yo, peace world, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan, and if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.